The sand is in your teeth. You've been walking for 3 days straight, and the inside of your mouth tastes like chalk and blood. Your lips cracked open somewhere around the second night. You stop noticing. Behind you, 2 million people are moving, not marching, stumbling, women carrying infants against their chests, old men leaning on the shoulders of grandsons, livestock dragging through sand that swallows hooves up to the ankle. The sound isn't dramatic. It's a low, continuous grinding. Feet, wheels, breath, crying children, bleating goats. A sound so constant it becomes silence. You know every one of them is looking at you, not with admiration, not anymore. 3 days ago you were the man who broke Egypt. 10 plagues. Water turned to blood. Locusts so thick they blocked the sun. The firstborn of every Egyptian house, gone in a single night. Pharaoh's own son cold on the palace floor by morning. You did that, or whatever moves through you did that. You're still not sure how to separate the two. 3 days ago they cheered your name. They loaded carts with Egyptian gold, handed over willingly, desperately, by people who just wanted the Hebrews gone before something worse came. 3 days ago, you were liberation made flesh. Now you're standing at the edge of the Red Sea and there's nowhere left to go. The water is right there. Not blue like you imagined water should be. It's dark, almost black in the fading light. The Gulf of Suez stretches out flat and absolute. No bridge, no boats, no shallow crossing you missed on the way here. Just water, wide and deep and indifferent. You turn around. The eastern horizon is dust, but not weather dust, not wind. That's a column of movement, organized, deliberate, fast. 600 chariots. You know the number because the reports came in an hour ago from the scouts you sent back. 600 of Pharaoh's best, each one carrying a driver and a warrior with a composite bow. Behind the chariots, infantry, thousands of them, professional soldiers, men who've trained since age 12 for exactly this, running down fleeing slaves in open desert. Pharaoh changed his mind. You knew he would. A man doesn't lose his labor force, his entire economic engine, and just accept it. The grief over his son lasted maybe 48 hours before rage replaced it. Now he's coming, and he's bringing everything. The distance between the Egyptian column and your position is closing fast. Chariots on packed sand cover ground at nearly 40 kilometers an hour. Your people move at 3, maybe 4 on flat terrain. The math is simple, and the math is fatal. This is the part no one talks about later, the minutes before the miracle. When there is no miracle. When there's just you, the sea, and the army behind you. And the absolute certainty that you led 2 million people out of slavery directly into a massacre. The shouting starts from the back of the column and moves forward like a wave. They can see the dust now, too. Everyone can. A man pushes to the front. You recognize him. He was one of the foremen in Goshen, a brickmaker. His face is sunburned and twisted. Were there no graves in Egypt? He screams at you. You brought us out here to die? He's not wrong. That's the part that hits. Standing here right now with the sea in front and the army behind, he's not wrong. You have no plan. You have no military. You have no weapons. What you have is a shepherd's staff, 80 years of life that mostly felt like failure, and a voice that spoke to you from inside a fire on a mountain in Midian. That voice told you to come here, specifically here. The wilderness route would have been longer but safer, north along the coast through Philistine territory. You didn't take it. The voice said, "Go south, toward the water." You obeyed, and now you're pinned. Your hands are shaking, not metaphorically. Your actual hands, the ones gripping the staff, are trembling so hard you have to squeeze until your knuckles go white just to keep hold. You do the only thing left. You stand in front of them and open your mouth. Stand still. Your own voice sounds foreign, too calm for what you're feeling. Watch what happens next. You don't know what happens next. You're saying words that are being fed to you from somewhere deeper than thought, somewhere below your chest, below your gut, in a place you didn't know existed until a bush caught fire and didn't burn. Then the voice comes. Not audible. Not exactly. It lands in your skull like a stone dropped into water. Heavy, spreading outward. Lift the staff. Stretch your hand over the sea. Your arm goes up. Not because you decided, because something decided through you. The wind hits first. Not a breeze, not a gust. An east wind so violent it nearly takes you off your feet. It comes from behind, from the desert, and it hits the water like a fist. The surface of the sea doesn't ripple. It shoves. The water moves laterally, pushed by something that operates on a scale you can't process. The sound is like nothing you've heard. A deep, sustained roar. Not thunder, not waves, something lower, something that vibrates in your ribs and makes your vision blur. The water is separating, not slowly, not gracefully. It's being ripped apart. Two walls forming on either side, climbing higher than any wall in Egypt. 15 feet, 20, 30. The water is standing vertical, and it should not be. Every law of the physical world says it should collapse, and it doesn't. The ground between the walls is dry, not muddy, dry, as if it's been baked in the sun for a week. You can see the bottom, hard-packed sediment, shells. The bones of fish that were alive 10 seconds ago, now flopping and suffocating in the open air. The wind doesn't stop. It holds. A corridor maybe half a mile wide, stretching across the gulf to the far shore. Open. Waiting. You step forward first. Your sandal hits dry ground where there was sea. It holds. Nobody moves behind you. 2 million people staring at an impossible corridor through a divided ocean, and not one of them moves. You take another step, then another. The walls of water are close enough to touch if you stretched your arm. You don't. Inside the water you can see shapes, dark forms moving, fish, debris, the suspended anatomy of a living sea frozen in place. Someone behind you takes a step, then another person, then 10, then 100. Then the sound of movement builds, and the crossing begins. It takes hours, not minutes, hours. The column is miles long, and it moves at the speed of the slowest. The elderly, the injured, the women in labor, the children who keep stopping to stare at walls of water taller than the pyramids at Giza. You stand on the far shore and watch them come, thousands per hour. The dust cloud behind them, the Egyptian column, has reached the western shore. You can see torchlight. They've stopped. They're looking at the corridor. Then the chariots enter. You can hear the wheels on the dry seabed. The horses are panicking. You can tell from the erratic movement, the way the formations keep breaking and reforming. Animals know. They understand what humans override with ambition. The horses know this ground should be water. They don't want to be here. The last Hebrew steps onto the eastern shore. A woman, carrying a child on one hip and dragging a goat with the other hand. She doesn't look back. The voice returns. Stretch your hand over the sea. Your arm goes up again. The staff points toward the corridor where 600 chariots and God knows how many infantry are now fully committed, halfway across, too deep to retreat. The wind stops. For 1 second, maybe 2. There's absolute silence. The water holds its shape without the force behind it. 2 vertical walls, motionless. A pause that feels like the world taking a breath. Then it falls. Not crashes. Falls. The weight of the entire Red Sea collapsing inward from both sides simultaneously. The sound is beyond sound. It's pressure. It hits your chest like a physical blow and you stagger backward. The screaming lasts maybe 4 seconds. Horses, men, metal, all swallowed. The water churns white and then settles, flat, dark, still, as if nothing happened, as if 600 chariots and their crews never existed. You stand on the shore. Your hand is still raised, your staff is still extended. The sun is coming up behind you, and it lights the surface of the water, and the water is calm, and there is nothing on it. Behind you, 2 million people are silent, not cheering, not celebrating, silent, because they just watched a sea open like a door and close like a grave, and nothing in their lives has prepared them for what that means. Your arm comes down. The staff feels heavier now, not physically, but in what it represents, the weight of what just moved through you, the weight of every drowned man in that water who was somebody's son. You freed your people. The cost was paid by someone else's army, someone else's children, someone else's grief. Miriam, your sister, starts singing behind you. Others join. Tambourines, voices. The sound builds into something enormous, full of relief, full of terror disguised as joy. You don't sing. You stand at the water's edge, alone, watching the sea that just did what you told it to do, knowing the desert ahead is worse than the army behind, knowing these same people will hate you again within a week, knowing this staff in your hand will be both your authority and your curse for the next 40 years. The sun rises. The water is still. Egypt is behind you. Everything else is ahead.